Welcome to Geography Samacheer syllabus of Tamilnadu. Class 10, Economics, third lesson, Food Security and Nutrition. Food. Food is one of our basic necessities. Food is defined as many substances that people eat and drink to maintain life and growth. Food security would denote a person's ability to eat enough, stay active, and lead a healthy life. Food is any substance consumed to provide nutritional for an organism. It is usually of plant or animal origin and contains essential nutrients such as carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamin or minerals. The United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization, known as FAO, defines food security as follows. We all know about FAO. The Food and Agricultural Organization is a specialized agency of UN that leads international efforts to defeat hunger. Our goal is to achieve food security for all and make sure that people have regular access to enough high quality food to lead active and healthy life. According to them, food security exists when all people at all times have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food, which meets their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. Food security exists when all people at all times have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food. While this comprehensive definition highlights the need for food to be nutritious, in addition to that, there are certain other aspects what are required to achieve nutrition security. According to eminent agricultural scientist Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, who is also fondly called as father of green revolution in India, he said nutrition security is physical, economic, and social access to a balanced diet, safe drinking water, environmental hygiene, primary health care, and primary education. So, what is balanced diet here? A balanced diet is a diet that contains different kinds of foods in certain quantities and proportions so that the requirement for calories, proteins, minerals, vitamins, and alternative nutrients is adequate, and a small provision is reserved for additional nutrients to endure the short length of leanness. What are all the basic components of food and nutrition security? Food availability, that is the availability of food, physical availability of food stocks in desired quantities, which is a function of domestic production, changes in stocks and imports, access to food, primarily a matter of purchasing power and is therefore closely linked with the capabilities and employment opportunities to earn, which in turn are related to one's access to assets and education. So only if a person has employment and only if he earns enough money, he can have access to food. Absorption. It is nothing but the ability of our body to absorb food or to eat the food. Biologically, every one of us should have a sound body and digestive system to absorb the required quantity of food. Availability and access to food grains. The food security in India. Thus, food security for people in a country is not only dependent on the quantum, that is the quantity of food available, but also on the ability of the people to purchase or access food and to stay in appropriate healthy environment. So it is not only enough that a country produces sufficient food for its people, the people should have the purchasing power to buy the quantity of the food needed for them. Just as other developmental issues, food security of people is also related to a country's overall development process. After independence, India chose to adopt a planned development model. After an initial focus on agriculture, industrialization was given priority. The recurrent droughts experienced by India pushed her to be dependent on imports of food grains. So when there was a continuous failure of rainfall because of the dry condition prevailed in the country, India was forced to a situation to import food grains from other countries. However, the available foreign exchange reserve could not permit open market purchases and import of food grains. India had to plead for food grains from richer countries at concessional rates. United States of America extended assistance through its Public Law 480 scheme to India during early 1960s. So this Public Law 480, to understand this, I will explain about this to you now. India, after its independence, it had the biggest challenge to feed the people of villages. So Jawaharlal Nehru opted for a socialist path with mixed framework economy to cater to the needs of poor and simultaneous growth of the state-owned heavy industries. However, India had to rely on United States for food supply under Public Law 480 against rupee payments. Later, this step turned out as a big mistake in 1960s when United States, because of some political differences, suspended the wheat supply temporarily. India was facing back-to-back drought. India realized that its political freedom was at risk and it had option but to resolve this step and develop its own agriculture. But it was not easy as India's foreign exchange could buy only 8 million tons of wheat from the international market compared to 10 million tons from US under Public Law 480. Thus, India had no option but to develop and become self-sufficient in production of basic staples. A growing country with a massive population, India was perceived to be a potential candidate for revolution. Revolution in Tamil, we call it as Puratchi. Some activity that brings a positive change in the society is called as revolution. The American administration and philanthropic organizations like Ford Foundation formulated a plan to increase food production in the country by introducing high-yielding varieties of wheat and rice. This program was implemented in select districts where irrigation was assured. The results were promising and the program was extended to cover a large number of districts. Thus, Green Revolution was born in the country, paving way for self-sufficiency in food grain production. Increased food grain production was made possible by an increased area cultivated with high-yielding variety of seeds of rice and wheat, as also an increase in the yield of these major cereal crops. Area under food grains was a little more than 98 million hectares during early 1950s. The country was producing just 54 million tons of food grains, then with an average yield of food grains of 547 kilograms per hectare. The food situation has steadily improved over a period of 65 years. Area under food grain cultivation has grown to 122 million hectares with an increase of five-fold increase in food grain production. Yield of food grains has increased fourfold between the time of independence and at present. Thus, this growth in food grain production was made possible by high-yielding variety seeds program, which was implemented as a package. Apart from introducing fertilizer-responsive high-yielding varieties of rice and wheat, it ensured the availability of subsidized chemical fertilizers for the farmers. Cheaper farm credit was disbursed to farmers through cooperative banks and societies. Minimum support price for the crops were announced at the beginning of the season, and the state procured the harvested grains through Food Corporation of India. The Food Corporation of India had built huge storage godowns and built buffer stocks of food grain during the harvest season to be distributed all through the year. What is minimum support price? Minimum support price is a price fixed by an expert group for a particular crop by considering various costs. That is, it includes the cost of the seeds, the amount paid to the laborers, transportation charges, the cost of fertilizers, pesticides, everything. The cost involved in the cultivation of that crop. After announcing this minimum support price, the state will open procurement centers. Procurement center means collecting the harvested products from the farmers in places where these crops are widely grown. However, The farmers are free to sell in the open market if they get a better price for their crop produce. On the other hand, if the open market price is lower than the minimum support price, the farmers would get an assured price by selling their produce to the Food Corporation of India. The rapid increase in food grain production was accompanied by appropriate technological interventions in the dairy, poultry, and fisheries sectors. As a result, the milk production in the country witnessed an eightfold increase. Egg production grew 40-fold and fish production by 13-fold between the time of independence and mid 2000s. However, India could not succeed in attaining self-sufficiency in the production of pulses and oil seeds. Therefore, India depends on imports to meet the requirements of people in pulses and oil seeds. He is Dr. Verghese Kurian, who is considered as the milkman of India and father of white revolution. And he is the person who is responsible for Amul in Gujarat. Public distribution system. Tamil Nadu has adopted an universal PDS, public distribution system. The rest of the states in India had a targeted PDS under targeted PDS, that is public distribution system. In colloquial, we call it as ration shop. Under universal PDS, all the family ration card holders are entitled to the supplies from PDS. In the targeted PDS, the beneficiaries are identified based on certain criteria and given their entitlements. Leaving out the rest, both the union and the state governments subsidize the supplies distributed through PDS. The level and quantum of subsidy also varied across states. So both the union and the state governments subsidize the supplies distributed through the PDS. The level and quantum of subsidy also varied across the states. Subsequently, the National Food Security Act was passed by the Indian Parliament in the year 2013. The National Food Security Act covers 50% of urban households and 75% of the rural households. These households are known as priority households identified based on a set of criteria. Priority households of this country now have the right to food supply through PDS. The union government supplies rice at the rate of 3 per kg, that is rupees 3 per kg, wheat at the rate of rupees 2 per kg, and millets at the rate of rupee 1 per kg under National Food Security Act. Tamil Nadu continues to have the universal system of PDS and supplies rice at free of cost to all cardholders. National Food Security Act in Tamil Nadu. On November 1st, 2016, National Food Security Act was implemented in Tamil Nadu after holding out for 3 years. A consumer cooperative is a retail business which is owned by the consumers themselves. Their basic objective is to eliminate middlemen. The consumers join together and manage their businesses, and the profit thus earned is retained among themselves in the proportion of their contribution. The society purchases in the bulk and avails the discounts and sells in small lots to the members. Some of the cooperative stores are run on a large-scale basis, while others are small in size and nature. This form of retailing originated in England in the year 1844. Consumer cooperatives play an important role in the supply of quality goods at reasonable rates to common people. There is a three-tier structure of consumer cooperative societies in India. This scheme is playing an important role in food security in India. For example, out of all fair price shops running in Tamil Nadu, around 94% are being run by cooperatives. The three-tier structure consumer cooperative society are primary consumer cooperative society, central consumer cooperative society, and state-level consumer federations. More than 50,000 village-level societies are engaged in the distribution of consumer goods in rural areas. Working of consumer cooperatives. Consumer cooperatives will distribute consumer goods to members of the public at reasonable rates. These cooperatives should be formed by persons having an interest in selling goods to the public, that is, not hoarding. In Tamil, we call it as padukadal, and will share profits according to the standard criteria of individual labor and capital investment. Consumer cooperatives will be supplied by both agricultural and producer cooperatives. For example, agricultural or producer cooperatives which produce cotton or silk thread will sell the thread to weaver cooperatives which can produce clothes using the appropriate or latest technology. Weaver cooperatives will in turn supply consumer cooperatives that sell the clothes to the public. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe my channel. Give your feedback in the comment section. Let us continue this lesson in the next video.